AK and Billy Donovan's jobs are reportedly completely safe. I wish I could say that we're surprised, but we're really not. We're going to talk about that, all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Pat, talk about winning. I aspire to have the job security that Billy Donovan has, that AK has, because per Joe Cowley that came out last night is that AK and Billy Donovan and Mark Eversley, for that matter, are completely safe. Their jobs are not on the line. Now, one could say that Billy Donovan has 1 year left on his contract, so the chances of them firing with 1 year left probably slim anyway. But how you feeling, Pat?
I mean, listen, I'm again, like you said, can we talk about being surprised? Can we talk about being shocked that these guys are safe? No, I love how they said it. Ownership loves these guys. Mm-hmm. Why does ownership love them? Because they make the safe moves. They make the cheap moves. They keep the team just competitive enough to be entertaining. That is the philosophy of your owner. He ended up winning 7 championships in total in his ownership here in Chicago, and he didn't want them.
That's because of Jerry Krause, not because of Jerry Rogers. This is why it was so crazy that y'all booed Jerry Krause, because wouldn't have the 6 titles we did if it wasn't for Jerry Krause.
That was nuts. Jerry Krause also, if he could have saw past his doggone
he started making it about
nepotism. If he could have saw past that next team was solid. If he could have saw past that nepo and actually got a real coach in here, might have had a solid team yet again. You had Jay Crow on that team. You had Ron Artest. Who was our center? Elton Brand was center on that team. Yeah. Brad Miller was on that team. Like, you had a solid little squad over there. Just, Tim Floyd. But no, listen, at the end of the day, it's not surprising to hear. It just shows that mediocrity is okay no matter what these guys say. We're always trying to get better. We're always trying to improve. No, you're not, because you have guys that aren't improving. You have a coach who looks completely checked out on a consistent basis. You have a general manager and president. We have a general manager who I don't know what he sounds like anymore. When was the last time you heard Mark Eversley open his mouth? You have a president of basketball operations who seems completely clueless about any trade that may actually be a part of a plan that follows the plan that you said was the plan that you wanted the Bulls to follow. Like, it's a joke of an organization. It's a joke of a team. And the only bright spot about the Chicago Bulls team right now is the fact that me and you cover them.
That's a fact. Yeah, bro, I don't know what to say about it anymore. Like, and I talked about this over on Central, and the thing that I said, because I know people are like, well, what do you guys expect? We're going to lose anyway. And it's not about winning or losing, at least not to me. I understand that this is going to be a team that's bad, that's going to be trying to, get draft picks and increase their odds and all that type of thing. The thing that I have, Pat, and I went on this long thing, I'm going to try to condense it here, is that I question about how much is Billy Donovan getting in the way of development. This is not just about wins or losses, right? As much as people talk crap about Vinny Del Negro, you know what Vinny Del Negro didn't do? He didn't get in the way of Derrick Rose's development. He allowed Derrick Rose to develop. You point out a thing. When early in the season, his rookie year, Ben Gordon was taking shots away from Derrick Rose. That got out the way. Derrick Rose's second year after a rookie of the year campaign, Vinny Del Negro set a base of, all right, bet, Derrick is your team. Joe's going to facilitate some as well. We're going to get you guys both involved. And he never had a season below 500. Billy Donovan actively sometimes, I think, gets in the way of development of young players. Buzelis was the only player in that first game against Detroit that showed some fire early on, and he sat him after he made a bucket. Vinny Del Negro would have never made that mistake.
So Vinny would have ran him into the ground, but yeah,
exactly. Vinny would. Oh, you're showing up to bet 15 more shots, right? So now the thing that I have is that, are we going to look back on it and say 2 years, if Billy Donovan stays on to the end of his contract, we'll worry about beyond that once we hear the extensions coming out, because don't be surprised if the extensions are already in place.
Right.
Are we going to look back and say we wasted 2 years of Modest, 1 year of whoever our top 10 pick is going to be this year, because Billy Donovan does not know how he can't fight that gene to say, let me not play Kevin Huerter 25 minutes.
You want to know what I think? I said this. I think the mandate to play Huerter is from the top. I think we got to see what we got in him because of the future. Right. I'm telling you, y'all should have seen Billy face, bro. Billy, every time Kevin got the ball, Billy was like, I hate this dude. Like I don't know if he knew something before. I think that's a mandate from we need to see what we have with him. Maybe they think that could be a future piece. Maybe, that there is a trust there where, listen, we've seen Peter Patton get people's jump shots together. I think that there is something that you hope you can get out of Kevin Huerter. But as far as development, I don't think that Billy will get in the way of development. I think the development is just more on what the player already has and the drive they have to develop. He's not get more out of a player development wise than what the drive they already had, right? Ayo Dosunmu has developed under Billy Donovan's tutelage, if you want to say that. Ayo probably had that drive to want to be better. He probably had that drive to want to go out and be whatever the Bulls needed to be. And now, to me, I think he's turned into he's emerging as one of the guaranteed leaders of this team. Modest seems like he has that in him. Dalen Terry don't. Dalen Terry probably puts in a ton of work. But
I have no doubt, though, that Dalen Terry in the locker room, they probably love Dalen Terry. 100%. He's probably he's probably that guy in the locker room that they love him. And it's just of course, it doesn't translate to the court. Here's the thing that I want to throw to you, because you made a point of Ayo developing, and I think Ayo's one of the perfect examples. He, much like Modest, he lives in Chicago. He's from Chicago. He doesn't leave in the offseason. So he was able to work with Peter Patton. He also is very in tune with his own game, so he puts in the work there. So I get what you're saying. Modest is very similar in that sense to Ayo Dosunmu. But I think when I talk about development, Pat, I'm also talking about the system that we run. And not to say that Billy, we've both talked about, there are times when Billy's a one-trick pony, meaning this, right? We came into the season committed to shoot more threes and run. Yep. We lost any semblance of a half court in doing that, right? And so I don't know what Billy Donovan adjusted in this offseason, but the question that I have is are we understanding how to adapt as far as in the game of basketball? His Modest's drive is not going to be affected by anybody. You can give Jim Boylan to Modest Buzelis, and Modest is still going to be extremely self-driven, right? He's not going to. He's not like Laurie. He's not going to allow any coach, I think, to take away that competitive mindset that they have. But I'm talking about the X's and O's part of the game of basketball.
I think when you talk about, it's tough, right? Because to me, the part that with Billy that I dislike, I think there's a lot of coaches that are like that. And I've said this many times, right? There are coaches that they have their game plan, and it's not that it's an unintelligent game plan. It's just, do you have the players who can run that game plan successfully and who fit that game plan? I don't think the Bulls the Bulls got their 3-point shooting numbers up. They knocked down the ball. They're knocking down threes at a high clip. Their offense is through the roof based on where it was, but it's going to be very hit or miss because you don't have Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and, Sean Livingston and all these mugs that you could run this system with. You don't have a Draymond Green. You don't have all these people you can run this type of system with where it actually accentuates the talent that you have. The problem in that is, and I think Billy has fallen victim to this, is if you don't run an offense like that, you almost can't keep up in the modern NBA.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he's in this catch-22 situation. Again, my biggest problem with Billy is not the X's and O's. My biggest problem is his adjustments in game. And that's a problem that I would have. I saw somebody the other day was like, bring back Monty Williams. I was like, same dude. They were like, bring back, when you talk about,
I think Monty's a little bit better at adjustments on the offensive side, but defensively he doesn't adjust. It's defensive it's offensive adjustments for Billy. Sometimes it's defensive adjustments. Monty, he's never going to call an adjustment defensively. This is the defense we run. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they trot out all 5-foot lineup. We're not adjusting to that. But our scheme's about big men. We're keeping the system the same.
Yeah,
that's Monty.
But I think that's the thing, right? There's not enough adjustment to the game that you're playing, the players that you have. It's more of an adjustment to, this is the only way for us to keep up in the NBA. And to me, I think that hurts development more because you're not developing the skill of the specific player. You're not catering to what your player can do. You're catering to what the league is asking you to do. That's where I have more concerns on Billy than more of the X's and O's. Now, some of his rotations are just god awful.
See, I mean, but that is X's and O's though, because like, and I get what you're saying as far as Billy did change to shoot more threes and adjust to that sense, but it's not like you still lost. Like most of the good teams, even like Boston shoots a ton of threes, more threes than anybody in the league. They still have a half court offense. Like we've never been a team under Billy Donovan that moves off the ball. We don't do simple pick and roll successful. Like some of that is on the skill set of the players, but that's also X's and O's. Like to me, it's like Billy Donovan, he's good at coming up with. And even then, it took 3 years to adjust to what the NBA was doing as far as three-point shooting after
because he had
DeMar
to change
left.
his whole scheme. His whole scheme was what we were running.
Yeah,
his whole scheme was, all right, we can set up a half court, we're gonna be good, and then you lost Lonzo Ball, and it was like, well, that don't work no more. You ain't got nobody that can throw, and you still don't. You don't have nobody that can throw an entry pass.
Anyway, we're going to keep this conversation going. We got to get into a break, man. And after this break, we're actually going to talk about how many wins do the Chicago Bulls get over their final 27 wins on the 27 games on the season. We're going to get to all that after a message from DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. See, this is why you guys should have been signed up for that. Back on Wednesday night, there were a lot of players that scored a lot of points, but it's simple. When a player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. There are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. Game day feast. After an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot, delivered straight to your door. Fueling your watch party. Planning to catch the next game? Order your go-to snacks and meals at a discount and get ready for more high-scoring action. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash.com to learn more. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Pat, just to finish out the conversation, right, with the Billy Donovan mistake, we didn't really talk much about the AK portion of it. I know me and you, we've been fans of this franchise our whole entire lives. AK is going to have another 5 to 6 years at this job, right?
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're all in line. That's why I don't have much to say about the AK portion of it.
Listen, it sucks, right? But I talked about this yesterday on the Breeze, bro. It's tough to not make a case that Acme is the worst front office in Chicago since 2000. There have been front offices that have made a lot of bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. Nico Harrison, though, has maybe blown that up a little bit.
Just in Chicago.
Oh, okay. You should say in Chicago. You did
just
say,
in
okay,
Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Chicago sports, too. I'm including everybody. There's front offices that have made a lot of bad decisions, have got rid of players that ended up being good. Even Garpax, right? You look at a lot of the decisions they made and you're like, ugh, like that just hurt us in the long run. AK just don't make decisions. Like that's worse to me. Like my beef with Ryan Poles this offseason was, it's not that you couldn't fix the offensive line. You just didn't. You kept the bat on your shoulder and were like, oh, is that strike 3? This sucks. Like, They got a case for worst front office since the 21st century has started, bro.
You may not be. I have to go through every front office.
Think about the White Sox, right? Think about the recent White Sox. The White Sox have been horrible since the 2000s outside of the World Series year.
Yeah.
They built a decent team that could make the playoffs. I don't know if they built a World Series contender, but they built a good team. One injuries derailed everything. Mm-hmm. And a decision to go after a Hall of Fame manager that we were all like, this man's 106 years old. This is going to be idiotic. It's a dumb decision, right?
Yeah.
It is a decision. And then 2 years into that decision, they was like, this is dumb. And they fired everyone.
Oh man, that's hilarious, bro. You know what? We got to maybe AK they made their only decision when they came in because remember the owners wanted them to keep on Jim Boylan and they was like, yeah, no, we good on that.
That was the best,
and that was their decision.
They made.
That was the decision.
It's been downhill since then.
It's been all down since then. That's crazy.
How you go downhill from firing Jim Boylan?
Anyway, let's get into this topic, man. The Bulls have 27 games left, Pat. They have the 16th toughest schedule in the NBA remaining over those 27 games. We got 2 games against Cleveland, 2 against the Lakers, 1 against the Rockets, 1 against the Nuggets, 1 against OKC. Those are listed as our toughest matchups on the year. As far as easier matchup, we got 2 games against Toronto, 1 against the Hornets, 1 against the Jazz, 1 against the Wizards. Other games somewhere up in there. 27 games. Keep in mind, last year we won 39 games. So we'd have to win 17 out of 27 games to even get back to what we were last year. That's not going to happen. How many wins do you have the Bulls getting the remaining part of the season?
The Bulls will beat Philly twice and the Brooklyn Nets.
3 games the rest of the way.
Yep. They will beat Philly twice and the Brooklyn Nets. They will only beat Philly twice because Philly's going to keep losing as well, and it will be just enough to keep us in the play. Because I don't see Philly getting a ton of wins the rest of this season either, unless Joel Embiid magically decides I'm good at basketball again.
So the thing that I look at this is I always want to factor in the fact that the Bulls always get a couple of wins against unexpected teams, right? And that's when it's so confusing because they'll come out and like beat like Denver by like 15 and we'll be like, what are we doing? Right? So the Philly wins, I can see that. But then again, Philly's beat us, I think, both times we played them this year, if I'm not mistaken. So
I believe that may be correct.
So it's difficult to even predict that. I'm going to say this. I think the Bulls
97 Philly and 108, 100 Philly, yeah.
Okay. So I'll say this. I think that the Bulls, out of 27 games, they win 7 more games this season. That's what I got them winning. Finishing with 29.
I tweaked. We played the Wizards one time, so I'll give them 4.
The Wizards have beat us also this season. I think both times we played them.
You want to know why I think you want to know why I think it's so low this season, or to finish out the season, is when you're tapped out, like when you're just done, there's no coming back from that. Vooch is done. Vooch is arguably the best player you have on this team. He's your best scorer. He's your best rebounder. He's the best starter that you have. He's done. He
did have a bounce back game. He had a 20-13 night the last game.
I get it. But like Vooch can wake up and drop 20 and 13. Vooch had an uncharacteristically bad game. The first, dog, he was getting cooked that first game.
Yeah.
He's
Let me ask you this, Pat.
Easiest 20 and 10 in the NBA.
What do you think the realistic chances are that the Bulls fall out the play-in? And I'm not going to say because of Philly. There's actually another team that I'm going to actually bring up here. The Toronto Raptors just traded for Brandon Ingram. They're 5 games behind us right now, under 30 games back. Does Scotty Barnes have one of his I can't say that. I can't say what I was just about to say. Does he have one?
I was about to cut you off.
Does he have one of his stretches there where he actually remembers how to play basketball? And him and BI kind of look good together, and maybe they can go on a little bit of run here.
Is Brandon Ingram supposed to be playing basketball anytime soon?
Yeah, Brandon Ingram's supposed to be playing.
When?
I think they said he's going to come back after the All-Star.
Is he coming back after the All-Star break? Yeah. So how soon after that will he then again not be playing?
Well, the reason why I asked Toronto, they have the easiest schedule remaining in the league. Their combined opponents left have a win percentage of less than 40%. That's also why I want to have that conversation.
Toronto is Canada Bulls. Remember when we had the easiest schedule to finish out the league, and I
remember whenever. I don't know if that was before you came back or not, but you know how many people were like, "But we have the easiest schedule, Haize. We're going to move up to the 6th seed." I said, "When have the Bulls ever beat everybody that they were expected on paper to beat? When does that ever happen?"
Bro, we lost. I'm trying to remember.
And then we lost 4 straight games against teams below 500.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. And like the bottom of the NBA. Like we lost 4 straight games to the bottom of the NBA. You know what I mean? Like it's. The Bulls are, the Raptors, to me, I don't expect BI to play. I think he's got 15 games played this season. I don't expect BI to be a consistent player for Toronto. Scotty Barnes and that crew that they got up there is not a winning culture. They made a move just to make a move and bring back, less African Pascal Siakam. Like, that's pretty much what they do.
Get it to your Harry, bro. Do the Harry, man.
Pascal African. He's African. Did I just swallow out?
That's crazy.
Wait a minute. He's from Cameroon. No. Boy, Locked On Bulls coming up next. I ain't even got the thing up. Oh, God. Hey, man, if you betting on that joke getting through, we got to tell you all about FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into same game parlays. Listen, here's the thing about FanDuel. It makes it so easy to use the app. It feels like you never can miss a chance. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now on FanDuel, customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More Locked On Bulls coming up next.
Strong joke there, my boy.
Was that a strong joke?
Strong joke, bro. Like, yes, that's good. It was good. Before we get out of here, man, I want to talk about this thing that came out, and kind of give some of the reasons why. So there was this statistic that came out from the Sports Business Journal as far as year-over-year viewership for teams. The Chicago Bulls have dropped 63% in viewership year over year. Now, I do think the change to CHSN is a big part of that because there's a lot of Chicagoans that just don't have access to watch games and haven't for a long time. They're still not on Comcast, and still no deal is even close to being in place. But either way, it's still a concerning dip off there. You look at a team like the Portland Trailblazers, who their viewership is up 68%, and they still suck. But how you feeling about this, Pat?
Listen. This is not a surprising development to me because there's no reason to follow the team. I think if the team was at all competitive, if the team was going to be a playoff team, if the team actually had some push, people would be fine going to get the antenna and it wouldn't be a problem. The problem with Chicago right now is most of us have taken a stand. Now, I kind of did take the stand, but we're going to speak on that. But I have a way to watch the game. But most of Chicago took a stand on, Jerry, you kind of basically this offseason said, screw Chicago, we're looking to take the White Sox to Nashville, and that didn't go through. Trying to get a stadium put in place for the White Sox that nobody wants to build. You're unwilling to do anything to help improve the Chicago Bulls. And you brought over the Blackhawks, who are in the middle of a rebuild where Connor Bedard seems like he's finally hitting his stride. But outside of that, literally none of the young guys on that team are worth anything. Mm-hmm. Bad time to change networks. Oh, and you're going to make me pay for it? Oh, but we'll give you it free if you buy an antenna. What do you guys stock in antennas? But you just want to bring back the old, you want to see houses like it was when you were a young owner in the league. Funny. I just love a good antenna on top of a TV.
You raise a great point there, because I do think like if the team was in a better state, like if this move would have happened over like the Derrick Rose era, everybody would have been rushing to get antennas. Like they would have literally not been able to keep antennas in stock because everybody would have been rushing because I got to do what I need to do to watch Derrick Rose play basketball, right? And so, but then also you fumble with the launch. Like me and you talked about it, even though you weren't on the show at that point. I'm like, it was the worst launch of a new network that I've ever seen in my life. Everything was bad about it. Let's not even, we forgot about the initial scoreboard that they had that caused so much frustration that they changed it after one game. The quality of the broadcast was also cheap looking initially. Your programming initially on CHSN was also absolute trash. It's improved. Shout out to Casey Johnson getting his own show. Shout out to Drew Stevens being on there. Shout out to those guys who are helping up that network. But overall, the launch of it was shitty. You then, on top of that, you launched it at a point in time where nobody had faith in your team. Then in the midst of that, you traded away Zach LaVine for little to nothing. I can't think of a more perfect storm of everything that can go wrong when you're trying to get people to pay to watch your product, and your product is god awful.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's one of the, like you said, it's one of the worst launches we've seen. They still are basically just paid programming. That's kind of all they have on there. I mean, hey, if you want some help, hit up the Windy City Breeze, hit up Chicago Sports Network. We got some great shows that we can add in there. You know what I mean? Like,
we got you on the programming.
Yeah, we can help you with some programming out here for consistent Chicago content. Heck, tell Locked On, let us throw Locked On Bulls on there. We might as well. There's nothing to watch on there. It's a sadness. You know what you did, literally, and I think this is the worst thing about it. You took NBC Sports during the day and you brought it over to your own network. So basically, I am paying for an app that I can't hear Chicago sports most of the day.
Yep.
And the only thing you really brought over was that I think it's 670 The Score is on there. Like, that's cool that 670 is on there, but they're not even on there all day. Like, it'd be different if 670 The Score was on all day and I could hear consistent Chicago sports all day. It's a poor network. The Bulls viewership not following it makes perfect sense because of how poor the team is. You won't invest in the team. You won't invest in your network. You won't invest in anything that has to do with you making money. And then you get upset when we don't come to your games, which is slowly going to start happening. So I don't know. It is what it is. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I mean, it is like the numbers didn't surprise me when you really factor in everything that's been going on around the network.
Nuts though.
Yeah, 63%.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. So, hey, yeah, you know, and it seems like people are slowly starting not to show up to games as well. We'll see what the future holds for that.
We'll see.
Matter of fact, let me ask you, while you were there, how packed was the stadium when you went to go see Bulls versus Detroit?
A lot of Pistons fans, but it was still.
Yeah, I guess that's not a good game because the drive was 3 hours. So
yeah, it was still a good amount of people there. You know, it's just dead though. It's a lot of corporate. It's a lot of, I guess, a dead environment, bro. Like Bulls fans, get on your feet.
I'm here because my front office manager gave me tickets because I had the most sales this week. That's literally what it is. Yeah, that's
legitimately what it is, bro. Like, people aren't losing their minds. They're not standing up. And you get a from Chicago. First off, and I said this on the Breeze last night. Modest should not be getting from Chicago. That's nuts. Modest is from Hinsdale. Modest should not be getting from Chicago. Bro, he was so surprised. This is how poor communication is in that building. They said from Chicago in the Detroit game. It's the first time I've heard them do this for Modest. Io ran out.
No, that didn't happen.
And then they said the height.
That didn't happen.
Yes,
that didn't happen, Pat.
Yes, it did. Yes,
that didn't happen. Please don't tell me that happened, bro.
They said from Chicago. Io ran out. Surprised that he was the first name called off the bench. 6'10", and then he went, I'm not that tall, and ran back in.
That's crazy.
2 from Chicago's in the lineup, bro.
That's wild.
2 from. We don't need 2 from Chicago's in the starting lineup, bro.
You do when you're trying to sell on nostalgia. Well, that's not technically nostalgia. But
yeah, I was gonna say that. Well,
that's not the right word.
Derrick Rose, I guess. When I hear it, I do think Derrick Rose, but yeah, it's bad, bro. It was bad.
I swear, if they switch it to from Hinsdale, I'm gonna lose my crap.
Just say it's college, bro.
Well, you didn't go to college. That's why you can't do that.
Say it's G League team.
They're not gonna say that. It's the Ignite. It's not a team anymore.
Dang it.
Like that. Look, I mean, when it comes to mine, literally that's all they got because they're not gonna say from Hinsdale.
Say from Illinois. Yeah, like
they can say from Illinois, but then people are gonna think the college. You can't say from Lithuania, even though he's Lithuanian because he's never lived there.
He's from Hinsdale.
So
hey, you better say from Hinsdale, bro. Like, we can't. Everything ain't Chicago. Everything is.
I mean, now, granted, Pat. When Candace Parker was in Chicago, they gave her from Chicago, Texas. She's from Naperville. Hinsdale is closer to Chicago than Naperville is.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I don't like it.
I don't like
from
it either.
Hinsdale. Say
it is what it is. As somebody who's probably going to live in Naperville soon, it is what it is. All right, y'all. Any last thoughts, Pat, before we get up out of here?
I got nothing else. Let's get out of here, bro.
Man, you guys can follow us at Locked On Bulls. You can follow Pat at Pat the Designer. You can follow me at CEO Haize. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, and also Roku TV. Make sure you guys get our numbers up there. We want to be one of the most watched Locked On shows on Roku when we launch there, so y'all make sure to go and support us if you do have a Roku device. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. It's been Locked On Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace. From Chicago. From the suburbs.
From Hinsdale. I guess that makes it sound okay.
From Derrick Rose's basketball camp.